Hey everyone, so after receiving some great questions about Hilberts Hotel and the whole concept of infinity, I thought I'd put together a quick Q&A to help clear up any confusion. Hopefully this will help make the paradox a bit easier to understand. So let's get right into it. The first question is, if there's always a new room, why not just take that one person coming to that room instead of shifting? That room in theory doesn't actually exist. The idea is that there's infinitely many rooms, and that quote-unquote last person in theory doesn't exist. So you keep everyone shifting forever. If you think about it, after making everyone shift one room, even if you wait 10 million years, you will never come to a point in time where you look at the hotel and say to yourself, everyone is settled, because everyone keeps moving one to the right once, but there isn't a last person. You must keep in mind that there is no last person. The next question. Wouldn't it make sense if all of them were full, but there was also space for new people? If there's infinite rooms and infinite people, then there can be always more of both. It's true, there is always more of both. But since you have a never-ending number of both, they're both infinity, and sure, they can be played around with as much as you'd like, but in the end, they are in a proportionality. They are in a fixed ratio, infinity to infinity, because it's a countable infinity. You can't just pick any number and add whatever you want to it, because the concept set in this analogy is a full hotel. So in theory, it is full. If you want to keep the statement of the hotel being full, then you can't just add one more room or more rooms without adding the same number of people to keep the proportion the same, to keep the statement true. Because one must remember that the hotel was full the entire time, before you shifted, during the shifts, and after the shift. The next question. Then if it's infinite, you can fit whoever you want. Just keep the proportion the same and done. Why didn't you just shift over by infinity when infinitely many people came? Is there such a thing as two infinities? Basically, you can't have two infinities fit into one infinite set of rooms. Yes, there is such a thing as multiple infinities. In Cantor's diagonal argument, Cantor proved that not all infinities are equal, and his famous diagonalization argument shows that the real numbers between 0 and 1 are uncountably infinite, which is a larger type of infinity than countable infinity. But that's a bit of a side note. Back to this. Remember in the first video when I mentioned that the set of even numbers is also infinite, as well as all the set of all odd numbers and natural numbers? Those all count as separate sets of infinity. These are multiple infinities. You cannot put two infinities together in the space of one infinity. In other words, you can't have two infinities, one of them the infinitely many people occupying all the rooms at the start, and the other one being the infinitely many people that came as new guests. You can't put those two infinities in the place that allows for one infinity, the infinite hotel. The next question. So if you add one person, it creates a new number along with the infinity? Here's the thing. Technically, in general, yes, it would be separate. Infinity plus 1. However, that would only be the case if it weren't for the fact that the Hilberts Hotel's rooms are numbered. Since they're numbered, it does sort of go inside within the infinity, because the new person ends up in room 1 after you shift everyone 1 over. It's not like you just smack them in room 0 or room -1. Shifting thus makes that new person a part of the infinity. Because you can always put normal numbers as part of the infinity by shifting. However, you can't add infinity or more to it as a part of it. That's why in the first video I said you can do the shifting method, room number which is n, plus whatever the number of new people coming, as long as the number of people coming is lower than infinity. But once I said infinity, I did something else. Once you have infinity, to try to make it fit in the other, you have to play around with making room for other sets of infinity, such as the infinite sets of odd numbers or the infinite sets of even numbers. That's why when infinity people came, we played around with making rooms for all the odd numbers, again by shifting, but shifting to make room for a set of infinity worth of space.